Hey, my loves, welcome to another episode of the Give Them Lala podcast. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment because I love to bump gums with you. Hope you enjoy. Can I tell you though, Easton, season 7, after Dad had passed away, I did tell myself, I'm unhinged and emotional from his passing. I'm not going to drink. I'm only going to smoke weed. And we went to Solvang, and it was my trip. And production kept saying, okay. And we were in the van. We had just landed. And we took a little private jet there because it wasn't very far. And production, Jenna.
Oh, boy.
Jenna Long, not Jenna Willis, long hair. You know who I'm talking about. Producer Jenna. She doesn't work for the show anymore, with the show. But she was like, "Okay, La, you have to tell everybody." And she's so fucking cool. She's like, "La, you got to tell everybody, like, where we're going. This is your trip." And I was so high that I would look at everybody. I would perched myself because I'm in the front row of the van. And I look at everyone. And I'm like, I don't even know what I just started laughing. And so Ariana's like, "So we're in Solvang and you're going to take us wine tasting? That'll be great." I'm like, mm-hmm. And she's like, "And we're going to stay at this hotel?" I'm like, that's what we're going to do. I couldn't even function. I was so high.
That's hilarious.
I was high as a fucking kite.
I dream about getting that high.
Yeah. And finally I was like, yo, I cannot keep getting this fucking high when we're filming because I can't produce words.
Right. You like can't.
Right.
And that's when you added the alcohol back in. I actually
Lose one and pick one up.
yes, I ordered both. I love that you
Beautiful.
talked about this because I went to the question that we had about, they obviously just want you to talk more about it. Talking to Stassi in Solvang by the horses about your dad.
Oh my God, that was torture.
So that was I remember that scene. You
Torture.
were crying.
Sobbing.
Did you know going into that, were you like, this is going to be a very deep, tough conversation? Or did it sort of just happen?
Well, I was struggling, obviously, that entire time that we were filming. It was
Right.
the darkest place I've ever been in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So there were moments because I knew that I was going through what I was going through, but I also knew that, like, everything I go and film, I can't just constantly be talking about my dad, even though that's kind of the only thing I'm focused on. So when production, because I was kind of purging onto production just about how, like, today I'm in a funk, like, we're with these horses, and it's reminding me, like, there were certain things, the song Fast Car by
Tracy Chapman.
Yes, which has nothing to do with death. Nothing to do with like a father-daughter relationship. There was something about the tone of it that always brought me like sobbing. Even when I hear it now, I'm like, okay, this like reminds me of my dad.
And subconsciously, you could have listened to it with him, and that's why you hear it and brings you back to that.
That could be it.
Like a subconscious feeling of
That totally could be it. And then I was watching these horses, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like the thought of like these animals. And I had just gone on the horse, remember? And I was like, me being on a horse and just like feeling it breathe, and we have to be in sync. There was something very spiritual about that too. And I was searching for any sort of higher power because I started questioning my higher power at that point. I'm like, there is no God. There's really shitty people in the world. And like, why my dad? Stassi is great at just listening, where she doesn't say much back to you. And I'm not saying that I wanted someone to like shut the fuck up, but I just wanted someone who was going to like listen and feel for me. And that scene, what's interesting about that scene is the guy who edited the replay of season 10, where I talk about the one that was nominated for an Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
This brings me to one logical conclusion. They're hooking up. The same editor of that episode edited the scene of me and Stassi, me talking about my dad, saying that my dad's just a memory and that's fucking me up. And he said the reason he was able to really sink into that editing process was because his wife had just lost a parent as well. And he was like, so I could in some way understand what you were trying to say because my wife had said similar things about her. I believe it was her dad that also passed away. So I thought that that was really cool that someone who actually was on that side of grief with me was editing that scene together.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It was dark. That whole season was very dark.
Yeah.
Bambi-eyed bitch. Like, that was a dark moment for me.
Which is interesting because now you look back and it's, oh, iconic. Bambi, you named an eyeshadow palette after it.
Yeah. Like,
But
when I watch
yeah.
that scene, I have veins popping out of my neck. I'm going like this because I'm like, I have never wanted to get physical with someone. But like I've not only consumed champagne, I'm in a grieving process and we're in the anger stage. And like I have never wanted to grab someone by their hair and yank them to the fucking ground.
And you didn't.
And I remember sitting there being like, let me tell you something.
Like holding back.
Yes. And just the veins in my neck, I was like, oh my God, you're like enraged right now. Yeah, because anything short of, I'm so sorry for the loss of your dad, react however you need to just process this, I was coming for you.
When you watch that, do you feel can you go back there or no? Do you feel the feelings? Like you said, you see the veins and you're like, oh my God, I wanted to rip her hair out or whatever. Or do you just like, no, you watch and you're like, can you watch it without getting in a bad headspace?
Do you watch it and take yourself back into that mindset? Because that's, for me, even watching it after that, like I don't watch, but I did watch that and just hearing you talk about it for one thing, I was like, I can't because it took me to that point.
No, I can't watch season 7.
Yeah.
You can't?
No.
Okay.
No. And the first interview that I do, they have me talk about my dad passing away. And I say, my dad passed away. And I start sobbing and say, it's so weird to say that. When I watch those things, it takes me back to such a heavy place. And there's a point during all of that, which is another reason why I think this past season, season 11, where everyone was like so taken aback, how dare I have these questions for Ariana after she suffered her heartbreak. I'm like, I vividly remember me spiraling from the death of my dad, something that she knows very well, and her saying to Sheena that I needed to toughen the fuck up. So how is it that I can't ask questions about someone being cheated on, but when I lost my dad, someone who I adored, I need to toughen the fuck up? And during that reunion, and maybe it's lost on me, I don't ever remember getting an, I'm so sorry, I should have never said that. I got a merry-go-round of fucking excuses of why she said that. So I think that anyone who signs up for reality TV needs to really be prepared that no matter what, I mean, Lisa Rinna lost her mom and was acting differently. I can't imagine why. And she was very angry, and watching it, I was like, oh my God, I so feel for this woman. And no one gave her any grace.
All the freaking credit for you guys who do reality TV.
Right.
Because the amount of things and I haven't even gone through trauma, real trauma. The amount of things and the emotion that comes out and the way I take it out on people and I'm a mess. And then a few months later, I'm like, damn. Like if the way I act ever was caught on camera, I'd be like, people would hate me. And then you guys do it all in front of camera.
But do you regret how you ever acted? Because when the lossing of our dad, there's a lot of things that I wish I would have done differently. But for me standing here today and doing everything that I'm doing, if I were to be back, I don't think I'd do anything different because I know I got to this point.
Right.
So in your headspace, would you have handled it different or any conversations differently with that? Or do you stand by with everything that you said because your emotions were your emotions?
And people can relate now.
Yeah.
They look back, yeah.
I mean, I handled it that was the greatest loss I'd ever experienced. I won't experience that type of loss again until my mom.
She's never
which
gone.
we won't even go there. But that was the greatest loss I've ever had. So yes, I do think that way of where I'm like, had I not gone back to Vanderpump Rules, there's so much that like I probably wouldn't be sober. You know, I had to rewatch my behavior, but at the same time, I had such a soft spot. Like I doubled down at that reunion. Like I was not apologizing for how I acted. Like I don't know how to explain this to you. My dad died.
But that's the other thing is like,
So
you doubled down because for me, just looking at it, if you would have had people care, you wouldn't have had that feeling of doubling down. It's almost like you doubled down because still nobody cares or is giving you that
I didn't feel like I was
support.
babied in any type of way. I was like, we're sorry about your dad dying, but like we're throwing you to the wolves. Great, whatever. No, I'm happy I went back because now I'm a sober person and I got to grieve my dad and remember him in a very healthy way. However, there's also the other side where I think I should not have gone back to the show, season 7. I should have taken a step back and really taken time for myself and my family. But then I probably wouldn't be sober. So I don't know.
Well, there you go. And also you saying that just as like a viewer watching, there's something so powerful. Like you had a platform and you showed people it's okay to act. You can literally be a mess. You can handle grief any way you want. And that's okay because that's how you're handling it. Like that is okay.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful. It's so great to see people handle grief with grace. I look at it, I watch it, I learn from it, but I also love, not for this to sound dark and not, this is not what you did, when people handle grief in a very messy way, I feel there's something very calming because I'm like, okay, you can lose your shit sometimes and we're all human and that happens and it's okay.
Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Give Them Lala podcast. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. Did I get all 3? I'm getting really good at that.